And welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we'll be taking a look at the disjointFrom method, working with sets, just as the way we've considered is superset of method, subset of method in the previous lesson. So the same way we are going to consider the disjointFrom method. And away from that, we are going to be talking about another very important aspect of set in JavaScript, which is called the weak set object. So once we are done with the methods, then we can move straight into this and begin to see examples and begin to see other concepts of sets that are related to working with sets in JavaScript. So let's go on. So the disjointFrom method, disjointFrom method returns true if this set has no element in common with the argument set. So if you have a set that have no anything in common with the argument set, it is referred to as a disjoint set. So let's take a look at this in a practical way. JavaScript is disjointFrom. Is disjointFrom. Now, the disjointFrom method returns a Boolean value indicating whether the two sets have no elements in common. So this will also return a Boolean value if the two elements has nothing in common. So an example is this: const A equals to const B equals to this. So this will be an argument set. A is disjoint from B. And then let's get an answer. True, because set A and B has nothing in common. But what if I add 1 to this? Let's see what happens. It's now false, because there is an element contained in set A, which is also contained in set B. So this is how the disjointFrom method works. So it can only return a Boolean value to let you know if a condition is either true or false. So let's move on and talk about the weak set object. A JavaScript weak set is a collection of values where the values must be object. So when we talk about a weak set, it's a collection of values where the value must be object. A weak set holds weak references to its value. So when we are talking about weak set, it only holds references and it holds weak references to its values in our JavaScript. So let's take a look at an example of what a weak set is in JavaScript. Now, create a weak set. Weak set. Now, the weak set is a collection of objects that are not strongly referenced. Objects in a weak set are not part of the garbage collection process, so they can be removed from memory if no other references exist. Now, so what this simply means is this. Now, remember when we talked about the const keyword, how we talked about how it references an array or any other element, and that element of such array can be changed, but not the reference to the array or to the element itself. But in the case of weak set, the reference to an object is weakly referenced, which means that it can be removed from the memory if there are no other references to it, because its references to an object is always a weak type. So let's look at how you can create a weak set in JavaScript. So let me call this, let my set equals to, you also use the new weak set constructor to make it. Now, let's create an object. Let my object equals to have name. John, and then last name, which is what you can see here. Now, this object that I have here, which is my object, I now want to add to my weak set. Don't forget that when we start talking about sets, we've talked about add method that you can use to add element to an element of your set. So I'll use that add method in this situation to add my object to my weak set. So I want to add my object to my weak set, and look at it, I have done that here. Now I now want to check, do I have my objects in my sets variable? Let's find out. So document dots, and now I can do this. Do I want to put this in form of a question. Do I have my objects? Then let me know if it is true or false. Sorry, I missed something. Now, if you look at my screen right now, nothing is coming up, and that is because of the fact that there's nowhere I use this variable before I reference it. So I need to make that variable before I can reference it. And so look at this place, the variable of answer. Now I want to check whether my set, which is the weak set that I have, whether it contains my object. So I'm using the ask method. You remember this ask method when working with sets to check if an element or a specified element is contained in a set. So I want to check this all of my objects in my weak set. Then I'm using the ask method to check, does this element has these elements inside of it? And you see that the answer is true. But if it has not been added here, this definitely is going to be false. So let me comment this out so that you understand what I'm talking about better. Now, let's see what happened. Do I have my object? It's false because there's no way where I have added this my object to this my set that I have here. So it is very important to take note of this when working with weak set in JavaScript. This part is what actually made my object to be present in my weak set. So this is my object, this is my weak set, and I'm using the add method to add my object to my weak set before I'm now making references to it to know whether my set, which is the weak set, contain my object and give me, and I'm expecting an answer of whether it is true or it is false. And as you can see, it is true because my set has been added, my object has been added here to my set, and I'm checking here whether it has my object as part of its element. And yes, the answer is true because it actually contains my object as part of its element. So this is how to make weak set, and this is JavaScript weak set in this is weak set in JavaScript. Sorry. So in the next video, we'll still talk about one more example before we move to other aspects of it. Thank you, and I'll see you until then. Bye.